We're going to be recording the meeting, and it will be posted by next week up on our website if you want to re-review the presentation or pass the information along to anyone else. Just want to say thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate you taking your time and being engaged with this. Just introduce myself. My name is Ed Schreiner. Working for the Climate Smart team with the City of San Jose. Also with me on the call is Farhad, who's kind of a technical expert on the building code, and he'll assist me with any questions that maybe get a little too technical for my knowledge base. But anyways, tonight, like I said earlier, it's going to be about a 20 to 30-minute presentation. We'll walk through the city's current proposal for its existing single-family buildings reach code for 2025. Just give you a little background. There is a Q&A function available if you want to type anything in there. I will probably not be actively monitoring that, but hopefully some of my colleagues can answer those questions, or if not, at the end of the presentation, we'll do Q&A, and I can answer any questions that have been unanswered in the Q&A, or you'll also have an opportunity if you want to raise your hands and ask the question or make a comment that way. So just quickly, I'll go through a little background on what reach codes are and what the energy code is, and then dive into the proposed buildings reach code for 2025, which has two pieces to it. What's called AC, or air conditioning to heat pump, and electric readiness. And then once the presentation is complete, we'll go ahead and do kind of open forum Q&A. So as I stated, it's going to be recorded, posted on the Climate Smart website, and we want to make sure you feel free to engage with us and share your thoughts either in the Q&A, or you can contact us through email. Our emails are available at the end of this presentation. So a little background on what we are working on. All this stems from is the California Building Energy Efficiency Standards and the California Green Building Standards. These are building standards that are set by the California Energy Commission. They are aimed to increase energy conservation and reduce energy costs in buildings, and they are adopted every 3 years. The last code cycle was 2022, and this year is 2025, and becomes effective January 1st of next year. As far as what the reach code is, the building reach code, it's a locally adopted amendment to the state code, and allows local jurisdictions to increase building code requirements above what the current state efficiency standards are. In general, these reach codes can be adopted by local jurisdictions at any time. Historically, we've tried to make an effort to coincide our adoption with the updates to the state code. But it is worth noting that some recent state laws that went into effect will prevent further future reach code adoptions on residential uses beginning October 1st of this year through 2031. So some background on what San Jose has done with the reach code in the past. The first time San Jose did a building reach code was in 2019, or for the 2019 code cycle. The kind of generally, what it did was require solar and electrification readiness, incentivized all electric buildings, and required electrical vehicle readiness and equipment installation, above and beyond what the state code did. In the 2022 code cycle, the REACH code was readopted in pretty similar fashion, kind of overlaid on the new code. And additionally, we did expand some requirements for multifamily EV parking. It is worth noting, however, that the previous two REACH codes only address new construction. So the construction of new buildings, they did not have any impact on existing buildings, which means, like a remodel or addition to an existing building. So the proposed REACH code that we're looking at does address existing buildings rather than new construction. So just why are we doing this? It is because the city has set a carbon neutrality goal by 2030. One of the key strategies in order to meet that goal, which is just less than 5 years away now, is carbon neutral buildings. Roughly a third of the city's carbon emissions come from the city's building stock. As far as residential buildings, 62% of San Jose residents live in single family homes. And with this REACH code targeting single family homes, that does target the majority of the buildings that residents live in. It's also worth noting that beginning in 2029, gas furnace sales will be restricted by the State Air Resources Board and the Bay Area Air District. So some of this effort is also working to align with that. So basically, there's two pieces to the ordinance. The piece one being air conditioning or to heat pump, which is a time of installation requirement. And it requires property owners installing or replacing air conditioning to install either a heat pump or an air conditioner with some additional efficiency measure requirements. The second part of the ordinance is the electric readiness requirement. And this is at a time of renovation requirement. So it is targets people applying for permits to complete a relevant addition or alteration to their existing residence. And again, it solely requires electric readiness, which would mean an electrical circuit or conduit. Does not require electric appliances necessarily to be installed. San Jose is not the only jurisdiction locally to have done this or to be working on this. All these jurisdictions here have actually adopted a existing single family REACH code for the last code cycle. And we expect more will be adopting it for this code cycle. So just kind of go a little more into depth for the first part, the air conditioning to heat pump requirement. So again, emphasizing the ordinance objectives. If you're replacing or adding space cooling, you can either install a heat pump space conditioner, which it would include both cooling and heating, and just have that meet state code and you're good. Or you can install an air conditioner alongside an existing ducted gas furnace, and then make other energy improvements above the state code. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. So just technically, the code chapter that's being amended is part 11 of Cal Green. And this ordinance has been reviewed and approved by the California Energy Commission as being cost effective, which is required for approval. So essentially what would trigger the requirement for the ACD heat pump? One, if it's simply a furnace only replacement. So existing gas furnace replaced with a new gas furnace. There's no requirement that can continue to happen. This is only triggered when either installing a new air conditioning system or replacing existing air conditioning system. So again, with the installation of a heat pump, again, meet state code. And it is worth noting that you can still do supplemental heating from a gas or electric resistance furnace. The other option would be to install a air conditioner. And the two kind of options would be either reusing existing ductwork, adding some efficiency measures on top of that, or replacing or installing new ductwork and efficiency measures to go with that. And we'll go into those a little bit more. It's just worth noting that unducted systems such as wall furnaces would also not trigger this requirement. Okay, so what are the efficiency measures? One would be a higher fan efficiency, refrigerant charge verification, increased attic insulation, and then additional air sealing at the ceiling plane. And then if you're replacing or installing new ductwork, slightly less higher fan efficiency. So basically, the duct should be better sized, and then some of the same requirements. Some exceptions for when this would not be required. Again, if existing ceiling insulation is more than adequate, if there's an exceptionally small attic, if ducts are inaccessible for sealing, and then also if the furnace fans were manufactured before July of 2019. In all those cases, there would be some exceptions from the increased efficiency requirements. Also, we want to avoid any hazardous conditions. So obviously disturbances to asbestos would be bad. And then if it creates a condition where combustion appliances aren't properly vented, again, that would be exempt. For older homes that may have knob and tube wiring, those could potentially be exempt. And it would also be exempt if by moving to this, it would trigger an electrical service upgrade. And then lastly, if there's some odd situation where the heating load required by the heat pump is substantially greater than the cooling load that a equivalent air conditioner would require. In that case, the air conditioner can be installed without any additional efficiency requirements. I know this is all a little technical, but I just want to make sure we kind of cover all the exceptions. So some general cost estimates of what this means. Currently, for labor and materials for installing new systems, an AC and furnace, we're looking at, a rough estimate of about $13,800. For a heat pump system, it's about $14,500. So, reasonably similar. The efficiency measures that would be required with the air condition could run $3,800 to $7,500, kind of really depending on existing insulation levels. And then if new ductwork, it's probably another $600 to increase the fan efficiency. It is worth noting that the city is currently offering rebates and on-bill financing for people who are replacing gas furnaces with heat pumps through the San Jose Clean Energy's Eco Home program. And generally, you can qualify for up to $2,500 with some potential add-ons for replacing a furnace with a heat pump. So that would kind of actually bring the cost of the heat pump below the cost of the air conditioner furnace. This is essentially a summary of the cost effectiveness analysis for this ordinance based on older homes in San Jose. San Jose is located entirely within climate zone 4. So you're looking at kind of the box outlined in orange. Basically anything positive, above 0 indicates that the ordinance is cost effective. This is a California Energy Commission analysis. So it's not really easy to state exactly what this means. It's a rough estimate of general savings, but also analyzes societal impacts, other things that it's a little wonky, I would say. But this next slide is probably more critical to kind of what customers concerned about on a day-to-day basis, which is bill savings. So the AC to heat pump ordinance basically saves money today, depending on the efficiency of the system installed. Could save anywhere from $300 to $500 on an energy bill over just over 1 year. All right. And then we'll get to the second part of the REACH code ordinance, which is the electric readiness requirement. This basically requires some electrical infrastructure to be installed during major projects to eliminate rework and costs later. And there's kind of different triggers for different types of gas appliances. And there's basically 2 methods for doing this. Either adding a plug with a extra unused conductor or kind of extra wiring, or adding a conduit connecting the plug to the breaker box. So reasons for doing this, earlier mentioned the air quality regulations. Starting as early as 2027, water heater sales will be restricted by various regional and state agencies. So essentially, moving away from gas tank water heaters to electric heat pump water heaters. As far as cost effectiveness, there's some significant cost savings for doing this kind of during a renovation, rather than being required to do it like later on down the road when the appliance is replaced. So there's additional requirements for an extra contractor visit, additional demolition, things like that. So it's really kind of cost savings for the future. As far as the technology, this does not require electric appliances. And it is worth noting that for most appliances, 120 volt kind of standard plug appliances are available for almost all end uses, which kind of provides a little more flexibility. And as I mentioned before, a number of jurisdictions locally have already adopted this electrification ready for kind of the last code cycle, the 2022 code cycle. So general concept showing here on the right, it's either you have the plug or the conductor connected via wiring to the panel. There's one live wire and then a kind of spare wire that would be currently disconnected but could be connected in the future to which would allow the receptacle to be upgraded from a 120 volt receptacle to a 240. And the other option would just be an empty conduit through which wiring could be placed. And I'll kind of go a few different iterations of what this could look like. So electrical readiness for a kitchen. This would mean the permit scope of the addition or remodel would include circuits or receptacles in the kitchen. So basically what would be required from this electric readiness ordinance would be reserved breaker space, and again, either the 120 volt, 20 amp receptacle within 3 feet of the, of the cooktop, or the conduit. For dryers, I mean, the installation is basically the same as for the cooktops or stoves. And the trigger for this would be any kind of electrical permit scope that includes circuits or receptacles within 3 feet of an existing or proposed gas clothes dryer. For a water heater, again, similar trigger. If circuits or receptacles are permitted within 3 feet of an existing water heater, or additionally, if wall framing is removed or replaced within 3 feet of gas water heater, that would also trigger the requirement as well. And in that case, in addition to the reserve breaker space and the receptacle / conduit, you would need to make sure that there was suitable space for a future heat pump water heater, including a condensate drain, which would be required for the heat pump water heater. And this is a slightly less common situation, but if through a elective permit, the panel capacity is actually being upgraded, we want to make sure that it's being well thought out. So in addition to the electrical panel size upgrade, we want to make sure that it would include some sort of load management system, whether it's kind of an appliance by appliance load management system, or just like a whole home load versus EV charger load, or optionally at least provide one electric appliance that is just a 120 volt electric appliance. Some exceptions for when electric readiness would be required. If the project does not include any kind of electrical permits, that would not trigger the electric readiness requirements. If as a result of the additional requirements from this REACH code, it would trigger a panel upgrade. Again, it would be exempt from electric readiness. And then just if there's just repairs and safety improvements rather than an elective remodel or addition, it would also not be required. And there's a couple building types where electric readiness doesn't apply, including new attached ADUs, as well as mobile homes and other types of pre-manufactured housing. So just general cost estimates for the breakers space. I mean, the space itself, technically no real cost to that as long as it's existing. And breakers, about $50. Circuits, and these are generally labor and material costs, $150 for an extra conductor, and a little incremental cost if there's already running a circuit, $500 to $1,000 if running a dedicated circuit. And then conduits for wiring would be about $500 to $1,000 installed, assuming that there's not a substantial amount of demolition required as part of the installation. So that concludes the presentation of the ordinance. Just to update you all on next steps, we are continuing to evaluate stakeholder input through these webinars today and tomorrow. Additionally, there's some further outreach next week, but please, feel free to provide us any input ideally by the end of next week, August 1st, 2025. The City Council hearing is being proposed on August 12th, 2025. And this would result in submission to the state prior to the end of September, with the goal that the REACH code be effective as of January 1st, 2026, at the same time as the building energy efficiency standards.
Where it's going to be posted on the website and how the public can provide feedback?
Sure. Let me go to the last slide here.
And where on the website to find the information?
There's my email, Edward.Schreiner at sanjoseca.gov. Feel free to email me any questions, comments, feedback you may have. I think what we'll try to do is, I apologize that it is just a somewhat inopportune time right now, in that the climate smart team with the city is actually kind of transitioning to a different department within the city. So I don't want to say I know 100% sure exactly where the website will be. I think what I can say we can commit to is if we have your email from registering for this presentation, we can send you an email with a link to where the presentation would be posted, along with where the information, additional information is available, where the slide deck might be available. I'll try to commit to us doing that by early next week. And I'm not hearing Nan say anything, so hopefully she's okay with that.
Yes, I can send it out next week. And if you want to go see the recording, it should be live next week on sjenvironment.org/richcode.
Okay, so it'll still be, so that's, can somebody type that in the Q&A?
sjenvironment./reach code. Here it goes. I'll put it in there.
Okay, thanks, Farhad. So we are a little past time now. Let me know, please feel free, give me last chance to raise your hand. Any other additional questions, comments? Was there any, sorry, Farhad, was there any other, did you see something else in the Q&A that we missed, or you think we've?
Mostly just statements, agreeing with some others, and kind of sharing some personal experience. Unless you see something in the Q&A or anybody else wants to raise their hand, I think we've gone through the majority of the comments.
Okay, just want to say thank you to everyone here tonight. We really appreciate your time, and hope you stay engaged with us on this. And we're hearing you, and we will make every effort to kind of get it out there more, that these future new regulations are coming, and how the city can help you make that transition when you need to. And I know the program that I mentioned that San Jose Clean Energy runs is funded through July of next year, but I think there's every expectation that program will continue to be funded for a few years beyond that time frame. So hopefully those rebates should continue to be out there. And I would say, I mean, from personal experience, when I replaced my water heater, I didn't get that rebate. But I think that rebate obviously will help offset any potential additional costs from the complications of installing like additional electric conduits or what have you. That should that should kind of cover your cost there. All right, don't see anyone else, so let's go ahead and wrap this up.